Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to our weekly meeting. I'm Wilson Cole with Adams, Evans, and Ross, and I have on the podcast with me Samantha Cole, my lovely daughter and our in-house attorney. How are you doing, Samantha?
I'm doing good. Can't complain. How about you?
Doing fine, doing fine. Well, I appreciate everybody joining us for Monday morning meeting. Today, we are going to talk about a couple of subjects that that we need, whether you're dealing with us or you're dealing with your local attorney or you're dealing with anyone that is trying to collect on something. And also, if you have recruiters that work under you, you're going to need the same information that we do. And that is, we need all the information when good, bad, or indifferent on when we're working on a collection, because we're going to kind of give you two scenarios. One that we were able to resolve successfully for our client. Another one we got ambushed, and the difference was we knew about the email or some, I don't want derogatory information is probably not the correct terminology, but basically information, documented information that did not support our client's case. So let me kind of give you two different scenarios. One is the recruiter had sent over to, well, Sam, why don't you describe the one, because that was the one that you dealt with where the recruiter told the debtor that it probably wasn't owed.
Well, I had 2 or 3 in the last month where a recruiter, unbeknownst to the owner of the company, sent emails that either modified the contract and made it where it was no longer owed, because they made it where we'll extend the guarantee period and you don't have to pay the fee until the guarantee extends or you hire a new candidate.
Okay.
I've also had them where it's like, oh, you're telling me you don't have to pay it, so I'm going to tell you, yeah, under no circumstances do you have to pay it.
Okay.
And so I've had those two, and then there was one more that was similar circumstances where a recruiter, and it's usually not the owner of the firm who said it, or it was usually somebody else, made a change. And so I'm working the account, I've got everything X's and O's, and then in one of them I did end up getting the information kind of midway through, so it didn't disrupt things as much as finding out about it in the middle.
That's the key. You found out about it enough to address it and still salvage the collection or the lawsuit.
I did not. We still couldn't salvage it with how they worded things.
Okay.
All of the ones I've dealt with, we weren't able to salvage because of when I found out about it or how it was worded.
Okay. Well, because this is kind of a new phenomenon that it seems like in the last couple of months we've run into, where there's these insane emails or documentation that basically tell the client, or the client tells the debtor, you don't owe this under any circumstances. And we had a collection that came in for me about 2 weeks ago. And my mind is still kind of reeling from some of these emails that I'm seeing. So I asked the client, I go, okay, is there any documentation? And I never ask a client this, but I'm starting to ask a client this now. Is there any information that is going to not help your case? And the client goes, funny that you should mention that. We've got a voided contract, and it's voided all over the contract. And so I instantly said, okay, voided all over the contract. What are you talking about? He says, I'm going to really have to email it over to you to show you. The scenario was this. The client is dealing with our client's dealing with their client on a recruiting deal to where they wanted a longer guarantee. So the client's recruiter decided, okay, we'll extend out that guarantee. So instead of doing an amendment, and Sam can explain the difference, or sending over a new contract with that guarantee in there, they and then voiding out or doing whatever, They send over their original contract, and I swear to God, you'd have to see it to believe it. It has void stamped like 10 times. It was a 3-page contract. It had void stamped at least 10 times on each contract, and it was in different colors. I mean, she had to have 3 different, I didn't know you could have that many colors on a void. And so this contract, when he said it was voided all over it, it was literally voided all over it. Well, the problem when you void out the contract is that, and Sam can explain that, is you're voiding out any of the safeguards of, hey, if we present somebody, you're owed a fee. And so lo and behold, this guy hired one of their candidates, and his argument was, well, they voided out the contract, and I wasn't sure I wanted to move forward with the new contract, so I never signed it. So that was his defense. Now, I can tell you, had I not known about it and we'd gotten 2/3 into that collection, we would have never collected it. But the fact that I knew about it, we could frame it and basically come at the approach. Our argument was, because we knew about it, is that contract was voided. So yeah, there is nothing there, but going forward, you knew what the terms and conditions were. You didn't have to enter into a contract, but you didn't have to hire the candidate. And so what we were able to do is we were able, knowing that that was there and building our case going forward, I had all of the emails that they sent after the voided contract where they presented the candidate, where there's a discussion back and forth, to where we were able to get it collected without the guy getting his attorney involved. Because I can tell you, had they gotten their attorney involved, there is no way that attorney would have allowed his candidate to pay that fee. So Sam, quick, I guess kind of a quick scenario. The rule of thumb is we need to know if there's something that's out there really smoking gun that's bad so we can address it. But also, we may need additional information, like if it's just coming into collections and they haven't raised a dispute, we may need just a statement of account. But as it progresses through, or it goes to legal, hits your office, or it goes out to the attorney, there's going to be times that we're going to need additional information. So kind of walk them through where cases where they send over a couple of emails to us in a statement, but now it's in your office.
Yeah, and something else I want to point out on with the voided contract is voiding a contract and terminating a contract are 2 different things.
Good point.
You can terminate a contract and not lose your safeguards. It's from, February 25th on, this contract no longer exists. But if you void it, it never existed from day one in a lot of cases.
And that is where that legal gotcha, where, and this is why everybody hates attorneys, is she was trying to say, okay, we're going to start with a new contract, but by using the term void, it's like that contract never existed.
Yes.
Okay.
So I just want to, you can cancel a contract with somebody you're working with, but using phrases with using certain words does change what you're trying to accomplish. And so that's one thing to just put out there. But when things come into my office, usually the debtor has completely ignored us, or it's escalated up where there's another attorney involved, or it's about to go out to suit. So I'm putting together the file to make it the easiest, quickest read for our forwarding attorneys so that they can get this process moving and there's not as much of a lag time. Okay. And there may be something where I'm going through, and Wilson can attest to this, of I am neurotically OCD when going through your files. Mm-hmm. And I'll go through and there may be another email that is referenced, and it will pique my interest. And so I may call and say, hey, there's an email referenced in this email. Can I get a copy of it? Because it could be referenced in such a way that, good or bad, it could change the case.
Yep.
And there have been times where I've had to reach out to a client and go, there's something referenced here that I want to see, or there may be a letter that was sent, or something that could be the smoking gun that gets this collected without lawsuit.
Yes.
I mean, there have been times where I've picked up the phone and called the debtor's attorney and said, hey, I don't know if you saw this when going through everything from your client, but we need to discuss what was said here.
Okay.
And it gets it wrapped up before we have to send anything out, because it completely, I've had 2 or 3. I think my favorite is we had one where there was an email that when I read it, I had to go back a couple of times because the debtor was trying to dispute that the fee was owed, except kept referencing a candidate's name where he wasn't disputing the one that was invoiced and in for collections. He admitted to hiring a second candidate we didn't know about.
Yeah. So there's going to be times where we're going to need additional information as it goes through, because the bar for collections is slightly different than the same generality when we send it out for suit, or when we send it to Samantha and it goes pre-legal. It hopefully gets it collected through the collection process, but if not, it starts building the case when we have to send this out to our forwarding attorney for litigation.
And there's also a difference in if I'm dealing with a debtor or if I'm dealing with a debtor's attorney on what information I need.
Oh, yes. Well, and that's
what information I have to turn over.
Yeah. No, and I agree with you 100%, because there's different rules that you have to abide by on.
Yes. And if I'm blindsided by a debtor's attorney or by a debtor, I can usually come back with other information and still keep it moving forward or escalate it. If I'm blindsided by a debtor's attorney, they're going to look at it and go, case closed. We don't have to deal with this anymore because you didn't have enough information from your client. So they know that now I'm having to be on the defensive, and I'm also having to scramble.
Sure. So the rule of thumb is share everything that you can with us, especially if it's good, bad, or indifferent. I always tell the clients, don't send me over, the 100 emails. Send me over the 5 smoking guns. The truer part of that is send me over the more relevant emails, because if you've got 5 smoking guns, but you've got 1 email where you just negate anything else, then we need to know that. And as far as in your legal opinion, Sam, the term we're going to cancel this contract is much different than we're going to void it. And I'm not Catholic, but we do have some Catholics in our family, and I think it's the difference between a divorce and an annulment. A divorce is you were once married. An annulment was it never existed in the eyes of, where if you void it out, the argument is that contract never existed. So closing thoughts on suggestions on what our clients can do to keep from getting hosed over on this stuff.
Well, I think just the biggest thing is not what they need to know going into it, but if we pick up the phone and call and say, hey, I need clarification on this, or can you send me a copy of this? Even if we've been working the account for 3 to 6 weeks, we're not questioning anything with you. It's just we're trying to build the best possible case and may need a little extra boost to get this escalated or get it resolved.
Oh, exactly. And it goes back to the reason that we moved so quickly through the collections aspect on the one where the client had voided was I wanted to legally and morally get it collected for our client. And we worked out an arrangement with the debtor that was satisfactory to them, satisfactory to our client. But I wanted to make sure that we got it resolved, because I knew that if it went to the attorney, it was going to elevate up, and we were going to need a heck of a lot more information at that point. So each step of the way, you kind of have to start layering on information. And so where we're able to get the debtor to agree, his attorney would have stuck his heels in, and we would have had to litigate it if we would have even litigated. So we'll leave you guys on that note. And Sam, any closing thoughts, or did that cover everything you needed?
Pretty much covers it.
Well, outstanding, guys. We'll see you next week on our Monday morning meeting. And if you have any questions, on anything that we've discussed, you can email Samantha at samantha@aercollections with an S at the end.com. Or if you need to discuss turning over an account, certainly shoot me an email, wilson@aercollections.com. Thank you, guys.